Skinamarink was directed last year by Kyle Edward Ball in his feature film debut, and it was originally released back in July for the Fantasia Film Festival, but is now getting a bigger and possibly only a limited theater release as of this past Friday the 13th, which was really the perfect day to release this kind of film. It's also currently on Shudder. I saw it opening night directly after seeing Avatar: The Way of Water in 3D, which is a pretty big contrast. Skinamarink is an experimental Canadian horror film made on a budget of $15,000. The director previously made a bunch of short films that you can find on his YouTube channel, Bite-Sized Nightmares. The majority of them are fan-submitted stories of nightmares they've had that he turned into his own little short films, which I think is a really cool idea. You can check those out if you want to get an idea of what Skinamarink will be like. So anyways, Skinamarink is about two kids who wake up at night and realize their father is gone, and the windows, doors, and other objects in the house start to disappear. And they watch cartoons that are in the public domain, which is stated at the beginning of the film. And I think that right there was the first misstep. That's something that should have been stated at the end. It immediately took me out of the movie before it even started, because it's kind of a spoiler that tells you there's going to be cartoons and offers you a little bit of comfort in a way. But at the same time, there's really not much to spoil. There's hardly any semblance of a plot, you barely see the characters, and you don't see any of the characters' faces. It's very lo-fi and grainy. The audio is either abnormally loud or it's very whispery. Or sometimes you can't hear the dialogue at all. And the dialogue is very minimal, but there's subtitles so you won't miss anything. And this was an intentional stylistic choice. The film is more or less a collection of different camera shots and angles and lighting meant to evoke a sense of horror through atmosphere rather than a more straightforward narrative. A lot of the shots can feel really random, like you'll see the tops of doorways and hallways or shots of the floor. It seems like you rarely see a centered shot. I guess he was trying to make the film feel claustrophobic, which I definitely felt trapped for an hour and 40 minutes. This is something that would have worked a lot better had it been a short film. Now, some of the director's influences on this film consist of filmmakers Chantal Akerman, Stan Brakhage, Maya Deren, Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, the 1967 short film Wavelength, and the original 1974 version of Black Christmas. Forgive me if I pronounced any of those names wrong, but I've seen Black Christmas, about half of Lynch's work, the majority of Kubrick's, and I'm pretty sure I've seen all of Maya's work. And just for this review, I skimmed through Wavelength and a couple of Stan's short films just because they sounded intriguing, and I wasn't familiar with them, or Chantal. But what Skinamarink reminds me of the most is Maya Deren's work, with shades of Eraserhead and Wavelength. It's definitely surreal, but I just didn't find the film to work for me at all, and I didn't find it to be on the level of Lynch or Maya or any of the aforementioned directors. Thankfully, nobody in my theater audience spoke or laughed during the film, so I would say it was moderately captivating. The guy sitting to my left jumped twice due to a loud noise, but overall, everyone seemed to be pretty bored, and my theater was at least 1/3 of the way full. After it was over, there was a guy that said out loud, "That was the worst piece of shit I've seen in my life." And while I do respect the artistry at hand, I found the film to be extremely boring. I think the trailer is better than the film itself. That's what made me want to check it out. It seems to be a really polarizing film. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I'm switching to a 10-star rating scale, so Skinamarink gets a thumbs down and a 4 out of 10. If you liked my review, you can leave a comment below, you can like the video, you can subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And stay tuned for more Rad Reviews.